we need to address the story out of ESPN yesterday, and we need to address what ESPN has been reporting, what Seth Wickersham reported yesterday, which I thought was a very well-reported article about the New England Patriots and about there being more problems than what we thought could have ever taken place between Tom Brady, Robert Kraft, and Bill Belichick. It's gotten so far that many out there are saying that Bill Belichick could be out of New England, and I could see it. I really can. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say how much of this article is true, how much of it is false. Obviously, as of right now, it is speculation that this is what's going on in New England. There's a lot of this in this article that I believe makes a lot of sense. There's a lot in this article that I believe. There's a lot in this article that I feel that there are more problems in New England than many people could ever imagine. And, of course, the team joint statement with Robert Kraft, Bill Belichick, and Tom Brady, they all came out yesterday and said, we stand united, this is inaccurate reporting, this is bad reporting, none of this is true. What do you expect the team to come out and say? A friend of mine came to me yesterday and said, there's only one named source in there. Do you expect anybody in the Patriots organization to name themselves in this article? Like, God forbid Josh McDaniels said something bad about Tom Brady. And in the beginning of this article, it mentions the screaming match that Josh McDaniels and Tom Brady had a few weeks ago. You expect Josh McDaniels to go out and say Bill Belichick was irate that he had to trade Jimmy Garoppolo, so he only made John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan give up a second-round pick for him? Do you really expect somebody to go out and publicly say, yes, use my name in this article? No, that's not how this works. In an article this big, in an article 10 pages long, and I have the printed out copy, I have a hard copy right in front of me of this article. Do you really expect anybody to come out and be a named source? No, I don't. Do I expect some of this to be exaggerated? Yeah, I do. But a lot of this I do think makes a lot of sense. Number one, with Alex Guerrero. I do believe that he has been causing a few problems in the organization. Enough where Bill Belichick took away his access to the sidelines because he wasn't a New England Patriot employee. Is that speculation? No, that's fact. That happened. He eliminated him from team meetings in 2014 after giving him the right to be involved in those team meetings with trainers in 2013 where medical records were discussed. So in 2014, Bill Belichick took that away. And earlier this year, he sent him an email after talking with Tom Brady saying that many players felt pressured to go to the TB12 training center to get checked for injuries instead of going to team doctors. So Bill Belichick had that conversation with Tom Brady earlier this year, and then after that sent Guerrero an email saying that he didn't want him on the sidelines because he wasn't a New England employee. Players were still allowed to go out and get help from him. But many players felt that because this email went out, that Belichick didn't want him doing that. That, to me, makes a lot of sense. And also, when you remember in the beginning of the year when Julian Edelman blew out his knee, out for the season, a lot of young wide receivers felt that, and this is, of course, reported in the article, we don't know if this is true or not, but a lot of wide receivers felt that they should go get treatment at the TB12 center and to get on Tom Brady's good side, so he would throw them the ball more in practice. And I can guarantee you, if that is true, Bill Belichick did not like that one bit. So I definitely believe Alex Guerrero has been stirring the pot a little bit in New England when it came to Tom Brady. And listen, I feel Tom Brady, if this is the case, I feel Tom Brady is a good guy that has trouble saying no to Alex Guerrero. They have been basically best friends for years. Alex Guerrero is a godfather to one of Tom Brady's kids. So, of course, there's a little bit of friction here on where Tom Brady can lie here. But regardless of that, I feel the biggest thing that caught my attention was the Jimmy Garoppolo trade. Now, when Jimmy Garoppolo was traded to San Francisco before the November 1st deadline, I figured the trade was going to happen at some point because Garoppolo wasn't doing enough in New England. We knew Tom Brady would be there for a while. And then Bill Belichick trades him to San Francisco for only a second-round pick. And I'm thinking to myself, why? And I had an argument with my dad last night about, he's saying that's all Jimmy Garoppolo was worth. I'm sorry, I think he's worth more than that. I thought he was the franchise quarterback for New England going forward when Brady was gone, as I feel he can be for San Francisco. And listen, I know he's a free agent in March. He better be re-signed. After the year he had with San Francisco, they have got to re-sign him. You're going to build that team around him, John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. You have to build that team around him. So when the trade happened, I thought to myself, why only a second-round pick? And then not answer for it. It makes a lot of sense now. And again, it's reported. We don't know how much of this is true. But I do believe this could have been the case. Because you see, Robert Kraft and Tom Brady are like father and son. We all understand that. Tom Brady, I think, considers Robert Kraft a second father. And I understand that. I feel there are times, and I feel this could have been one of them, where Tom Brady goes straight to the owner instead of his head coach. And I feel that this conversation could have been had. And again, and you take a look at it, and Seth Wickersham reported this as well, and I have a feeling that this could have been the case, where Tom Brady went to Robert Kraft and said, I don't want Jimmy Garoppolo on the team. I don't think we have any use for him. I'm playing on this team till I'm 45 years old. We're going to win with me and me only. We can figure out a long-term plan 5 years from now. I'm 41 years old. Get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. Then a meeting took place with Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick that lasted half the day, where the ending storyline was Robert Kraft putting his foot down and said, you must trade Jimmy Garoppolo. According to Belichick's friends, he was irate, he was disgusted, he was frustrated, he was angry. Because Bill Belichick drafted this kid in 2014. And you had an idea for the first time that Bill Belichick was thinking of the future instead of his big-time quarterback. You knew for the first time that was the first sign of Tom Brady's career entering the twilight. That was the first sign of Bill Belichick saying that I'm not going to be the head coach forever. Because to me, that draft pick alone said for Bill Belichick, when I'm gone and when Tom Brady is gone, I want a stable quarterback that will continue to help this team win. That will continue. So, Bill Belichick eventually agreed, trades Jimmy Garoppolo, and according to the reports as well, he texted Kyle Shanahan, said, let's talk. We all know Bill Belichick thought the world of his father. First guy he texted was Kyle Shanahan. He thought Jimmy Garoppolo would benefit well in his system. He thought that he would benefit well. He would get playing time there. He would help build up the organization. And he trades Jimmy Garoppolo for a second-round pick only. Also, you got to remember Jacoby Brissett was traded that summer as well to the Indianapolis Colts. So now, two future quarterbacks. Now, I'm not saying Jacoby Brissett is going to be the next big thing in the NFL. I think Jimmy Garoppolo has all the potential to be a very good quarterback. I'm not going to say the same thing about Jacoby Brissett, but regardless, both of them were traded in a 3-month time period to leave Tom Brady at the helm and his backup to be Brian Hoyer, a guy that is no threat to Tom Brady's job. And that's what I think this is all about. I think, and you saw the same thing with Joe Montana and Steve Young. You saw the same thing with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. You saw the same exact thing with all of those guys, where the experienced and great quarterback does not want to mentor the young quarterback. He doesn't want to mentor the young quarterback to bring in because they feel they still have something left. And while that may be fair, and while that may be the case, you saw the same thing with Tom Brady and Jimmy Garoppolo. There are reports that when Garoppolo got hurt last year while Brady was suspended, he went in to seek treatment at the TB12 Center where Alex Guerrero works. The door was locked. He tried calling everybody. Nobody answered. And then he went to the Patriots team doctors, and it wasn't until the Patriots got involved where he eventually, 2 weeks later, got treatment at the TB12 Center. I don't know how much of that is true. I could definitely believe it. To me, back to the Garoppolo trade, why would Belichick trade Garoppolo for a second-round pick? A lot of people thought that that was a steal, that San Francisco won this deal. And how could Bill Belichick trade and only get back so little? Why? Because to me, he told the New England Patriots to go hit the road. I felt he was so frustrated, and I can believe all of this. I feel that there maybe been a time where he was so frustrated with the Patriots. He said, fine, you want me to trade Garoppolo? Didn't say what I had to get in return. While I thought he could have fought San Francisco for much more, he didn't. Maybe that was to stick it to Robert Kraft. I don't know. But regardless, there are more reports that week in practice, Tom Brady and Robert Kraft had a big hug in front of the team. Tom Brady was alive that week. He was energetic. He was hollering. He was smiling. He was happy. And there were reports that he wasn't that happy all year. The minute Garoppolo was out the door, Brian Hoyer became the backup. Tom Brady's job had no threat whatsoever. And he once again, according to sources, won. He won. And you think to yourself, why would Belichick trade for so little? To stick it to the New England Patriots. There are more reports as well that they were supposed to have a meeting in December with Kraft, Brady, and Belichick about this issue to clear the air. It never happened. It might not until the offseason. According to the report, and I'll read it right here, those interviewed described a lingering sadness across the team as the coaches and staff knew that the end might be near. Both McDaniels and defensive coordinator Josh McDaniels, and defensive coordinator Matt Patricia are both expected to become head coaches. Other assistant coaches might leave to join their staffs or for college jobs or even retire. Is it possible that Belichick would rather walk away than try to rebuild the staff with a 41-year-old Brady and another year of Guerrero's drama, all while trying to develop a new quarterback? Belichick being Belichick, those around him know nothing of his plans. He has always been a football genius, artfully letting situations play out. The looming uncertainty has taken a toll on everyone, even as the Patriots finish 13-3 and are in the top seed in the AFC playoffs. Bill's done a phenomenal job of holding the building together, one Patriots official said. Holding it together. Now, if that's true, utter turmoil in the New England Patriots organization. Utter turmoil. Again, I'm not going to speculate whether this is true or not. I'm just saying that when I read this article, and I've read it again and again and again and again, a lot of this makes sense to me. The Garoppolo trade now makes sense. Getting rid of Brissett now makes sense. Alex Guerrero, I knew has been a problem. I didn't think it was this serious. There are a lot of young players that address Tom Brady as sir, as like he's management. Now listen, I understand you want to keep your top quarterback happy. And I'll come out and say it right now. Despite all of this, I think the Patriots, I'm picking them to win the Super Bowl. I sent my picks in this morning. I have the Patriots winning the whole thing. But I do think, and I had a discussion with a friend last night, winning does heal issues. Not for very long, though. If there's a big underlying issue in this organization, and Belichick is fed up, and Belichick is frustrated, and he's upset about what transpired this year, and if Robert Kraft and Tom Brady did force Bill Belichick to trade Jimmy Garoppolo, it makes sense why he only got so little in return. It makes all the sense in the world now. It makes sense why Brissett was traded to the Colts in the summer. It makes sense that Jimmy Garoppolo didn't receive fair treatment from Tom Brady's doctor. It makes sense that Tom Brady didn't want to be a mentor to Jimmy Garoppolo because he considered him a threat to his job. And listen, Bill Belichick said that as long as Tom Brady was the best quarterback and as long as Tom Brady was the guy, he would be the starting quarterback. So I don't understand why you have to feel threatened for your job. Again, I'm not saying that this is the case, but it does make a lot of sense in this article. I'm not saying anything in this article is true, but I thought it was very well reported. I thought it was very well researched. I definitely think it took this guy a while to put all the pieces together and write this article. He didn't just figure out to write this 2 nights ago and release it right before the playoffs got started to create a little drama. I definitely think that when it comes right down to it, this guy did the research. This guy had the interviews, because if you look at the article, there's also a text video that plays with his narration, and there are interviews inside of it. So you know this guy reported the right story. Now, again, this is speculation. The Patriots came out and denied all of the reports, as you knew they would, because they don't want drama going into the playoffs. Now, I understand Tom Brady wants to play until he's 45 years old. It's another 5 years. I think he can play until he's 45. Here's the issue, and I heard it this morning, and I've been thinking of it all day yesterday. What if, God forbid, Tom Brady tears his ACL on the field? You going to trust Brian Hoyer in a weak AFC conference to get the job done? I trust Jimmy Garoppolo to get the job done. I'm not saying he'd win the Super Bowl, but if you ask me which quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo or Brian Hoyer, you trust more to get you to an AFC championship win, I take Jimmy Garoppolo in a nanosecond over Brian Hoyer. Let's say Tom Brady, God forbid, gets hurt next week in the divisional round, and you see Brian Hoyer come on the field and try to get the Patriots into the AFC championship game. You know what the next report's going to be, right? Tom Brady's and Robert Kraft's selfishness cost them the season. That will be the next report out of ESPN. And it'll almost be like Bill Belichick saying, I told you so. Now, Bill Belichick is not going to hit the media and comment on any of this. We all understand that. We all know this. He's not going to say whether any of these reports are true. But I do feel, if this is true, I do feel for Bill Belichick, because he does look like the odd man out here. He looks like the guy who he wants to leave a legacy behind in New England, and when it's time for him to go, and it could be this year, and we have no idea, or next year, he wants to make sure that the team is in good hands and has a future. And if Tom Brady forced Robert Kraft to force Bill Belichick to trade away the future, it's a little selfish. I understand you want to make your top quarterback happy. I understand Tom Brady is the best in the business. I understand he has 5 rings, probably going to have 6 this year. But it seems that the cracks are starting to show in the 3-man monster in the New England dynasty. It seems that it's starting to show now for the first time, and we all knew this would one day be the case. The one day the Patriots would fall apart was from within. And it looks like we're starting to see the first cracks of that right here, right now. I thought this was superb reporting. Seth Wickersham, I thought, did a great job in reporting this article. Obviously, everybody that he's talked to said a New England personnel. They are not going to release their names because in fear of Tom Brady or Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft either firing them or shamming them out of the organization. That's not going to happen. Let's say Josh McDaniels or Matt Patricia's comments are in one of these pages. They're not going to sit here and say that they said it. Because God forbid the Giants and the Lions, let's say they don't hire McDaniels or Patricia and they have to stick with their coordinating jobs for another year. Let's say Robert Kraft finds out that Josh McDaniels said one of these comments. He'll be out the door in a second. Let's say Robert Kraft finds out that Matt Patricia said one of these comments in the article. Out the door in a second. A lot of these guys are not going to reveal their names. They don't want to lose their jobs. Now, do I think some of this is exaggerated? Yeah, a little bit. I could see parts of this being exaggerated, but I've read this article multiple times. I read it while I was at work yesterday. I read it before I came in this morning. I read it before I came on the air. A lot of it makes sense because you knew Tom Brady had a lot of power in the organization. He's the best quarterback in the league. He is a son to Robert Kraft. And again, he's the best. I mean, what do you expect? So you knew Tom Brady had a little bit of power when it came to this organization. Same thing with Montana and Young. Same thing with Favre and Rodgers. Is now the same thing with Brady and Garoppolo. Brady did not want to be the mentor to Garoppolo because he knew one day Garoppolo was going to succeed him as the starting quarterback. And I'm telling you, the Garoppolo trade now makes more sense today than it did when it happened a few months ago. It makes more sense in the world now than it did then. And if that's true, and Belichick was furious and frustrated that he had to trade away his draft pick that he knew would be QB1 one day when Tom Brady was ready to hang it up. If that was the case and he had to trade away a guy that he liked in Jimmy Garoppolo, I can see it, that eventually Bill Belichick is gone as the Patriots head coach. I think next year he'll be back. I really do. I think he'll be back. I think Robert Kraft will soil out this whole thing. I think at the end of the day, the 3 will at least say publicly that they're on the same page. But a lot of this shows that obviously the Tom Brady and Bill Belichick are not on the same page. A lot of it does. And again, that's speculation, but I think it's true because I can see it. I could see a lot of this in this report being true. Not saying it is, but I'm saying I could see it. And I'm not saying that Belichick is going to walk out the door after they're out of the playoffs or after the Super Bowl when they win it. But what I am saying is I do believe that there are problems in the organization, and I do believe eventually we're going to hit a crossroads. And again, I don't think it's going to be this year, but next year or the year after, I think Bill Belichick's time in New England is over.